Welcome, Austin here with Counterculture Farms. So today we're going to talk cover crops, chemical fertilizer, why to get off all that BS. No sprays, no poison, no grain, no BS. You know how we do it here. Let's get at it. So here we are in one of our pastures that we planted lots and lots of cover crop in. We're about to go over what's going out here, okay? So we got about a 13-way species mix that we got. I actually made it myself. I don't really like all the stuff that they're making. You know, you got to figure out what goes for your land, what's best for you, what's best for your tiny little microbiome that you're living in. So this is something we've come up with over tweaking it for the past 5 or 6 years, and this is the earliest I've gotten this crop to come up. So all the green in the field, that's the winter cover crop. Fall, winter, however you want to call it. So we've got turnips, radishes, several different types. That's all the greens coming up in here. You're also seeing these blades of grass in the middle. We've got ryegrass, wheat, rye, the grain, which we're going to eat as a forage. We're not going to harvest it. But goodness, look at all the greens coming up well. I mean, that's fancy. It's very fancy. That's about 60 days. October, November, yeah, right at 60. Some of this is going to be closer to 90. But we didn't get rain at all for about the first, I don't know, gosh, 45 days of this stuff growing. So that was kind of a bummer. I'm glad it didn't all die. But we've got different clovers in here. We've also got the vetch, see? We've got hairy vetch in here planted. Let's see what else we can find. We've got some rape growing. Haven't seen any of that yet. We've got a little bit of forage kale there, I believe. No, we didn't plant any forage kale. It was all greens. It was all turnips and radishes. So all the dead stuff in here that you're seeing, this is the Bermuda right here. It's been frosted some into the season. It's killing it off. Still a little bit green, but we haven't had a heavy frost yet. It's been down in the 30s. But it hasn't heavily killed everything. This that you're seeing across the field, all these stalks, this is the sorghum Sudan grass. There's a whole lot of it out here. We had this whole field planted. That was planted back in the spring for our summer cover crop. And if you know what Johnson grass is a Sudan grass. Sorghum's a grain crop that they grow, and they just crossed a sorghum and a Sudan grass, made a hybrid, and it's really, really, really good forage. So, just wanted to brag a little bit about how good this cover crop's coming in and go show you all this, especially if you look down there. Goodness, it's coming in really, really thick. So, why don't we use any chemical fertilizers or any sprays out here? Well, one, because I ain't about poison. I don't know why people want to put poison on their land. If you went and handed somebody a bottle of herbicide, they damn sure ain't gonna drink it, okay? But they're cool with putting it on their land, and they're cool with letting their animals go drink it. There's some stuff called Graze On, okay? Graze On is an herbicide that kills the broadleaf stuff. So it's gonna kill this goat weed here, which is a problem, I'll admit. But not a problem big enough that I want to go spray poison on my land. So the frost has killed it, but people will go spray this, and then all of it'll die, right? Well, it's called Graze On because you can spray it while your cows are in the pasture and they can eat on it. It's kind of freaking ridiculous, right? Would you spray it on your animals? Would you spray it in their mouth? Would you spray it on your kids? What are we doing, people? So all that to say, I'm not spraying any of that crap on my land. The chemical fertilizers, same things, right? It's got NPK in it. It's a synthetic nutrient. So, give me just I want to get that turned around for y'all. So, synthetic nutrients, right? We got chemical fertilizers. It's going to have NPK, mostly nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, okay? We're getting a heavy nitrogen load dumped onto your pasture. Why don't I like that? Well, petroleum byproduct, all right? Enough said. I don't want to spray that shit out on my land. Doesn't make any sense to me. But synthetic nutrients, that ain't it. I don't need to take my daily vitamins that the scientists, the smart people, said that we need to put out on our land, put in our body, all that, right? Why not just go with the organic nutrients in the soil? It's very simple. Counterculture, right? Because our community and our culture does not think that way anymore. We think, what's the quick, easy fix? We spray it. Right now, today, we get results. We get dead plants out here, and then the other ones that we wanted to live stay living, right? Problem with that is they're not thinking about next year. What's happening next year? Those weeds come back again. And if you did knock out those weeds, let's just say you won with your poison. You won. You knocked out that weed crop. Next year, nature sends another weed your way. Because what is the weed? The weed is telling you, it's a plant that says, hey, farmer, you're screwing up right here, okay? So certain plants are going to tell you you're lacking calcium, you're lacking manganese, you're lacking magnesium in your soils. And each of the plants are trying to fix what you and I are screwing up in our management. So if we just start to pay attention, it's very simple. Our land is telling us where we're lacking. So start rotating your animals, start planting cover crops. The more species you get into your land, more plant species and animal species, the healthier your soil is going to be. If you take that and adapt it to your entire ranch, your entire farm, and you make it biodiverse, you act like it's nature and you care for it that way, like 100 years from now, your kids will eat off this land. Are you acting that way? If you're not, start thinking about it. Because as farmers and ranchers, we claim to care for the land that God has created, that we are a part of and so dependent upon. But instead, we spray poison and we do all this other BS that doesn't need to be done because we've been taught this way. Let me tell you, it's the wrong damn way. If you change your mindset, you can start to change everything else. Okay? If you want to learn more about it, we can go into specifics. I do consultations for people. I will come out to your ranch and I will set you up a plan, a management plan for that year that you can start to implement and start to change, okay? So if you're spraying 10 times a year, I'm going to tell you to cut back to half that, okay? I don't think that people should be spraying at all, but it's going to be very hard for you to come off of a heavily dependent conventional agriculture spray type poison because it's your soil's used to it. Your soil is used to it. Excuse me. Woo! Your soil is used to it now. It was all that bacon and pancakes and coffee I just ate. Woo! Good. Anyways, all right. So your soil is used to the poison that you're spraying out. Okay. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it is getting used to it. So, to give you an example of this, what's up with the chemical fertilizer? You're dumping that out to get a crop to grow your grass up taller and greener and make high quality hay. One I call bullshit. It ain't higher quality hay. Why? It's filled with synthetic nutrients, okay? Synthetic nutrients, fake nutrients, man-made nutrients, not nature's, soil's nutrients. Okay, all the life we need physically is found in the soil. Y'all know how we think spiritually. All the spiritual life we need is also woven off into this, but that's from somebody else altogether, okay? It's all connected. And once we start realizing that it's all connected, we can start to move forward. So when I dump out chemical fertilizer on my land, let's just call this one big hayfield behind me, what happens? I've got my grass grows up, and I've got my soil connected right here, okay? So here's the roots of the plant, and here's the soil. And we're connected heavily, this little community. This is no chemical fertilizer. When I dump out chemical fertilizer, what happens? Broke the chains. Roots, soil no longer connected deeply like they were. Now, the roots of the soil, the roots of the plant are getting their nutrients from the chemical fertilizer that I just applied. The soil over here is trying to get its carbon. Where the hell is it getting its carbon from? We just broke the bonds here. It ain't communicating well. It's a broken community, okay? They both got to figure out where to get something from now. What happens whenever the chemical fertilizer runs out? We start looking again. They start looking. It takes a while. And then they find each other again. And then guess what? Farmer comes out and dumps more on, and they break apart again. And I get it all from the chemical fertilizer, and the soil's hurting. It's hurting over here bad. Over and over again, we keep doing this dumb shit. Dumb. The plants that we're growing aren't even filled with nutrients. It looks pretty and green, and God, it's nice. It's nice. I don't even know what to say because it makes no sense to me. Why would you want that when you have soil rich and abundant in life, and then you have a few little synthetic nutrients, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, dumped on, and then you got this plant picking up 3 of those, like 90 trace minerals in the soil, and we're bragging about 3. Because they make the crop grow. So you got water and NPK in your plants. Well, damn, what happened to the other 87 plus? Huh? Oh, those don't matter anymore because humans said they don't matter. Let me tell you what, you're wrong if you think that. You're very, very wrong. Why do we have kids with cancer? Why do we have, I mean, there's a lot of shit that's being hard to explain, okay? That's a broken and degraded system, and I believe it all starts with our soil, okay? We won't go any deeper into that. The connectedness of nature is what we need to get back to, and we need to get off all the synthetic BS that we're doing, and we need to get back to the organics of it. We need to get back to the base of life, where our soil is thriving, diverse, unbeatable, unbreakable. We're already having a hard time in chemical conventional agriculture is having a hard time breaking nature. Okay, it doesn't know how to break nature. It wants to. We spray it, we kill it, all that, and nature keeps coming back with new waves after new waves because nature's strong and resilient. So why don't we learn to work with her and not against? Lastly, all the things we're doing instead of the conventional stuff that most people do. We do use a little bit of organic compost tea. It kind of sucked the people I bought it from, so I didn't get any more. It just wasn't great. We tried that. We've tried a mineral salt, spreading some of that. I haven't noticed too many benefits from that. The main things that I'm seeing is not the inputs that we're adding. It's by working with nature, which is rotating the animals, heavy grazing, and then heavy rest, long periods of rest, okay? So high animal impact, put 100 animals on a small piece of land, like an acre, and move them, or half an acre, and move them several times a day. When we put them on there, hit it, get them off, let the ground rest, regenerate. Then we plant in cover crops. Keep living roots in the soil for as long as you can throughout the year. That's why we planted all the radishes, turnips, rye, wheat, all the big mix that we did. Lastly, care for the soil like your life actually depends on it, because it does. And when you start caring that way and you start actually giving a damn instead of just saying that we do, things start to get very different. Your property looks way better than your neighbor's because they're not caring for it the way that you are. It starts to respond to the love and the care that you give it, just like humans, all right? Broken people everywhere. When you start to give them the love that they've been desperately lacking, there's new life that pops up. New life, okay? That's what we're all about here at Counterculture. I'm gonna leave y'all at that. New life is the goal. Like, subscribe, leave your comments below. Keep it counterculture, man. You're gonna be all right.